Well, it's really great to receive the Lifetime Achievement Award, I might say, from Golf Inc. magazine. I'm thrilled to get this, but I'm sorry I can't be there. I had prior commitments, I just couldn't get out of it. But my son Perry Dye will be there, and then tell him he better do a good job. But it's really great to receive this reward, and I understand that what you're concerned about is what I think is going to happen to the game of golf in the future. You know, I've been in it a long time. I started playing golf when I was 3 or 4 years of age, and now I'm half 168, so I should have the experience to know what's going on. But golf has been a great game and still is a great game, but it's changed dramatically over the last few years, and it continuously changes. I have an original letter from Donald Ross written in 1923. Now remember, 1923, from Donald Ross to Mr. Tufts. And he was talking about the golf ball. And he thought then in 1923 that the golf ball was going too far for the scratch player, for the better player. He thought that in 1923. So, you know, today there's great discussions about the golf ball and the clubs and what's happened to it in the last 10 years and so forth. But it's made a major change, undoubtedly, and everybody knows that. But the real concern I have about golf and the game of golf is that from the building the golf courses, the building costs have escalated dramatically, and the cost of maintenance has just gotten clear out of hand. And it's all come from years ago when a lot of houses were being built in the United States, and they built them around golf courses. And Mary Smith lived on one side and Mary Jones on the other side, and they wanted it immaculate from A to B. And then the next thing came the Augusta National, and their golf course in the spring is always so perfect. And people would see that on television. And then the next came the United States Open Championship, and they would spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on getting the golf courses ready for the Open Championship. And everybody looked at this all of a sudden maintained golf courses. So it escalated the price of not only their golf courses, but then the country club president would see it, or he'd be at Augusta, or he'd see it on television on the U.S. Open, and he'd escalate it a little bit. And then the next thing was moved on down the line to where the daily fee golf courses had to escalate their prices and their costs, because that was the image that everybody was seeing on television. So it wasn't too long ago when Tiger was over and playing the British Open, and he won over there on, I forget the name of the golf course. I should remember, but I can't. But you could see there was just brown grass. It was just dried out. And he bounced the ball, and he outsmarted him, and he used a 3-iron and played golf. But he played the game of golf. And I'm sure the maintenance of that golf course is way down. And I know that my old course, where I was born and raised in a little town called Urbana, Ohio, they got a wonderful little 18-hole golf course. My dad built the first 9 in 1923, and my youngest son, P.B. Dye, built the second golf course there in 93. Urbana's a very conservative town. It took them 70 years to add another 9-hole golf course, but it's a good golf course. It's a little private country club, and they maintain the golf course for around $400,000, and they do a good job, and you can play golf there and have a lot of fun. But that's $400,000, and the next thing you hear about the country club in Columbus or this spending $1.2 million or $1.3 million. So it's escalated. And then a lot of clubs are even more than that. And that goes up and down the line. So that cost is given back to the player. And finally, instead of player paying $15 or $25 a round, it's $50 to $75. And that's hurt the game. And I really think. And then the golf clubs that are manufactured today are expensive. So everything is escalated. A lot of people say the game takes too much time or this or that. But my concern is that the escalation of the cost and what you have to pay to play the game, that's been a big problem. And in private country clubs, there's been a lot of change. There have been some high-end daily fee golf courses created. So the membership in the higher the country club might be down a little bit. So instead of paying $6,000 or $7,000 for an annual membership, you're paying $10,000 or $15,000. So it moves up and down the line. It's not just the municipal golf course, but it's the private country clubs, and they're hurting because of the little slight recession we're having here for membership. But it's all comes down to me as far as I'm concerned. It's cost, and even in the British Isles, they've started to irrigate some of their fairways, and they're slowly escalating some of that cost, but the game. When I played a lot of golf in the 1950s, they cut the fairways at 1.25 inches, and the greens had a Stimpmeter reading, maybe 5 or 6 on it, and on that. And I was a greens chairman at the Country Club in Indianapolis, and we maintained the golf course for $50,000 at that time. But now it's tremendous escalation in cost. And I remember not too long ago, Jim Farrell was the golf director at the Crooked Stick Golf Course, the one Alice and I started, and they've done a wonderful job of maintaining the golf course. And we walked out on the 18th fairway and looked at it, and Jim said to me, "Isn't this something else? There's not a blemish in the fairway." And the fairway was perfect. And I remember they cut it just a little over 1/4 inch. That's about like a green used to be. And he was talking about it. And finally he said, "You know, it really looks great, but there's only one major problem." I said, "What's the major problem, Jim?" He said, "Most of our members can't hit a shot off of it. It's too short." And it's the kind that the PGA professionals liked, and that's where everything's gotten that way. But now the new grasses have come out, and they're really great, and they can cut them so short where that you get a Stimpmeter reading of 10, 11, 12, and they're even talking about 13 and 14. There's just practically no grass on it at all. But when you do that, you have to cut them every day. And the sand, and when you top dress them, it has to be a certain quality and a certain size. So it escalates the cost. All those things have escalated the cost of maintenance. And the way you mow the fairways, you used to go down and back and mow them. Now they stripe them, so that takes more time. The hydraulic has to pick up the mower every time it turns around. So that's escalated the cost. So now if you have a weed or a bug on your golf course, something's really wrong with it. And that's really hurt the game, I think. And someday the powers to be, like the United States Golf Association, the new president came out with the idea of Brown, but he's only in there for 2 years. It's going to be hard for them to make a major change because they've never been that. And then the Augusta's, when you turn on television, it's absolutely the greatest time of the year for Augusta. It's green from one side to the other. And so that's the image that a lot of golfers get by looking at television, and they expect that to happen to their particular golf course, and the president of the club tries to make it that way, or the greens chairman. But the cost, they forget that Augusta has a certain budget, and when they have the U.S. Open, they have a certain budget. So the annual cost is what's going to really, what I think, is really hurt the game of golf. And so if it starts going down, maybe the maintenance budgets will get readjusted, and maybe people's thinking will be readjusted, because the game is so great. And we played golf when we had the Country Club in Indianapolis was full, and they had the grass and the fairways cut at 1 1/8 or 1 1/4, and they had some dandelions and this and buckthorn. We played golf. We loved the game of golf and still love it today.